soon as I can find what I was looking for in this good book right here. It's a good book, folks. Slavery Attacked, right here. See there? Look at that. Slavery Attacked by John L. Thomas, Associate Professor of American History at Brown University, wrote this way back in the day. He wrote this one way back. Is this it? Yep, I found it. I found something what I wanted to talk about and everything, so. And I'm going to give you a little bit of talking about this. Now, Black History Month is mostly about not so much about the things that African Americans have accomplished as it is more about well, I really can't say that. It's about the things that they accomplished, but they're in conjunction with the parts that of slavery and victimization and the brutality of slavery and all the violence that the slaves had undergone and the way they were treated. But they don't go deep enough so that you really get, at least in my view, they don't really go deep enough to give you an understanding on just how hard it must have been, how terrible that life, how horrendous that was to be a slave in back in those days, prior to the Civil War, and even after the Civil War, just to be black. It really doesn't speak to just how much pain, torture, and misery that slaves had went through. Just imagine, you're a slave. You're waking up at the crack of dawn from a slave cabin, way down in the deep South, and they call it the deep South, folks, because Virginia and West Virginia, I don't even think they really had West Virginia yet. I think it was named something with a K or something like that. I forgot. But they were more towards the north, so they were the upper part of slavery and everything. Those slaves got treated a little bit better, not so much better, because the labor wasn't intensive down there. The deep South was Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, places like that, Louisiana. These were the deep South. This is where they made all their money off of labor, and the labor was the slaves. So if they, to make money, the slaves had to work harder. So they were getting whipped all the time, flogged all the time, getting mutilated all the time. There was parts of their body just being torn off all the time. Nobody wanted to be shipped down south. You've heard it too. You've heard it for things like that. Well, I'll send you down south. I'll send you to the deep South, and that's what they meant by that they would send them down to sell them off to a plantation down in Georgia or down in Alabama or down in Mississippi or something like that. And the slave knew that, once they were down there, it was just like a death sentence to be down there. There was nothing going on good. And we don't really talk about those type of issues up here in today's world, even in the history classes. And personally, I think it's because we don't want the sensitivity to white people is so great that it's like, we actually might feel as though we're telling these white people that it's their fault. And it's not their fault in 2017 that these slaves went through such a horrible type of thing like that. I'm sure, they weren't around back then. That was quite a while ago. But rather than just let those things out into the thing, we just paraphrase it and say, yeah, the slaves were tortured, the slaves were beaten, and we make movies and make fun of it about chopping off the toes and things like that there. But let me read you a couple of descriptions here about runaway slaves that the slave owners would have said for their slaves about flogging. The slaves are terribly lacerated with whips, paddles, red pepper and salt are rubbed into their mangled flesh. hot brine and turpentine are poured into their gashes, and innumerable amount of tortures inflicted upon them. This is the way that they were treated, the people, for punishment. That was a flogging punishment. You know, that's not a nice thing to do. You know, and this is how they would describe slaves that ran away. And it's like, run away? Do you think I'm going to stay around here and let you put red pepper and all kinds of stupid turpentine and things into these wounds that you put me in? So, like, you know, let me just read a couple of these people that were runaway slaves. This is the witness, is the owner of the slave. His name was Mr. D. Judd. He was a janitor at Davis Company, Tennessee. And his testimony, committed to jail, he was actually a slave, committed to jail as a runaway, a Negro woman named Martha, 17 or 18 years old, had numerous scars of the whips on her back. That's how they wrote it. His slave was Martha, the 17 or 18-year-old. She ran away, and the only way they describe her is that she had numerous scars from being whipped on her back. And then another one, Mr. Robert Nicole of Dupine Street, and this is in Alabama. He offered a $10 reward for my woman, Sibby, very much scarred about the neck and ears by whipping. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they whipped it all up in the face till she was very heavily scarred about the neck and ears. We don't really get that picture of this true brutality that slaves had to undergo by what we hear in the schools or on the TV shows or any of those things like that. At any of the places, the museums or even that, we don't get the true brutality that they were under. Then we get this from that tertiary type of outward thing that we get. Everybody, you know, we get angry and all this stuff, but it's like, this is real. This is Mr. Brian Johnson from Fort Valley, Houston. Yeah, he's from Georgia though. That's the Houston company of Georgia. A runaway Negro woman named Maria, some scars on her back occasioned by the whips. Another one that was whipped. So far, it looks like we get a lot of women running away. My girls ain't staying put. You know, like, I'm out of here. And then Mr. James, he write about he called it stolen. A Negro woman named Celia. On examining her back, you will find marks caused by the whip. Well, they were definitely, because remember, this is about flogging too, so they were definitely into whipping. And then you got this Maurice. He's the sheriff of the county in Jefferson, Louisiana. Lodged in jail, a mulatto boy having large marks of the whip on his shoulders and other parts of his body. See, now, the slaves in back in then, to be black, it just wasn't to be the color of your skin black. Mulattoes are lighter than I am, you know, or from my color downward towards white, because they had that one drop type of thing, stuff like that. Then the slave masters, they were having all kinds of sex with slave women and making babies because they thought it would increase the knowledge level of the slaves. I don't know, but you know, we didn't even have Darwin's theory yet, so they're a little weird. So it don't work like that, but well, it might, I don't know. So anyway, now we got Robert J. Bland, another sheriff from Charlton, South Carolina. A lot of people up here from South Carolina. Now, this is how they treat their slaves in South Carolina. Was committed, a Negro boy named Tom is much marked with the whip. See? South Carolina. Down there, we got North Carolina over here. Committed a mulatto fella. His back shows lasting impressions of the whip and leaves no doubt of his being a slave. What's up with that? Lasting impressions of the whip. And because they got that on them, that makes them a slave. So, oh, you a slave, look at that. Yeah, you got lasting impressions of the whip on you like that. So, yeah, your little mulatto. You know, like I said, the mulatto color can be from my color all the way to white. You know, that's how they did that. Now here's another one from New Orleans. Runaway. Negro slave named Jupiter has a fresh mark of a cow skin on one of his cheeks. I don't even know what that means. Has a fresh mark of a cow skin on one of his cheeks. I don't know if that's cheeks that I would think of as cheeks today of your face or of your butt. But it must be of your face because they would probably say buttocks back in the day. And then the last one here, Narroway, a Negro man, or they're supposed to be runaway, but this is how they spell it. Ranaway. That's runaway. Yeah, that's Mr. Cornelius D. Tolan. He's from Augusta, Georgia. He got an accent because he spelled runaway with an R-A-N. A. Got a lot of A's. He likes A's. The Negro slave, a Negro man named Johnson. He has a great many marks of the whip on his back. Now I'm gonna do a little bit more with this because it is kind of interesting, but I'll go a little bit faster too. All right, now we're going to go into branding, maiming, and gunshot wounds. Slaves are often branded with hot irons, pursued with firearms and shot, hunted with dogs and torn by them, shockingly maimed with knives, dirks, that's some kind of digging in the ground machine, have their ears cut off, their eyes knocked out of their bones, their bones dislocated and broken with bludgeonings, their fingers and toes cut off. All we know about is toes cutting off from Kunta Kinte, alias Nathan, from Voice of the 1 foot off, from Voice of the Most Voiceless. But all we know is from the picture Roots, cutting off the toes. But look at all this other stuff they do, knocking out eyes, breaking up bones, cutting off ears, you know, cutting off fingers, toes, their face and other part of their persons disfigured with scars and gashes besides those made with the lash. These are all beside those made with the lash. You know, this is rough. It was rough back there. And I could see why maybe they didn't want to let people really know the horrors of being a slave, because it would not fare well for a lot of people who wanted to be white. And they love to spell this Ranaway. Maybe it's me, but Ranaway, R-A-N-A-W-A-Y, Ranaway. Ranaway, a Negro woman and 2 children. She was getting out of there. A few days before she went off, this is Mr. Machika Ricks. He said, he's from Raleigh, North Carolina. A few days before she went off, I burned her with a hot iron on the left side of her face. I tried to make the letter M. Is you for real? What kind of mind would be doing that? You know, it's like, you're my slave, so I'm going to take this hot iron and make a letter M on your face.
Well, true, isn't that, well, I mean, it's not extreme, but that's why a lot of African Americans have last names of white people. Like, my last name is McNeil. That's like Irish, but that's because I got that from my slave owners, a way of them showing ownership.
Yeah. It's probably true. Now here's another one. A girl, the runaway was Mary, a black woman, has a scar on her back and right arm near the shoulder caused by a rifle ball. Yeah, life was cheap to these people down there. That was in Natchez in Colorado. And this is another one who ran away from Kentucky. a Negro man named Henry, his left eye out. Some scars from the dirt, that's that digging implement, on and under his left eye, and much scarring with the whip. I mean, this boy was getting beat all the time. They didn't like him. And here's the older fella here, because I guess this is older if you're a slave. And this is in Alabama. And they're offering $100 reward for a Negro fella, Pompey, 40 years old. He is branded on the left jaw. Now, he must be some kind of worker or something like that. They're going to offer $100 for him. That was good money back in that. This is 1832. So that was good money back in the 1832. And here's another runaway, Lamon, an old Negro man, gray, has one eye. That's how they describe him. He probably got the gray hair and has only one eye left. And that's in Georgia. And here's South Carolina, Mercury, 1837. Committed to jail, a Negro man has no toes on his left foot. This is just some awful stuff like this here. And I just wanted to bring this up here for African American History Month. You gonna make it?
Yeah.
I thought I was bringing Big Will to tears with some of these descriptions of what these people had done to their property, their slaves. Because it was their property in 1837s and stuff. That was totally their property. Yeah, they purchased them, but the brutality and the viciousness of these people down here, just to treat any living, doesn't even have to be a human being, any living creature like that, a dog, a fish, doesn't matter. Soup, the turtle. Yeah. It doesn't matter. This is just not a very good thing. And they all think they're going to heaven. I don't think so. That was a terrible, terrible time, folks. And I just wanted to bring that up to let people know that just because we're talking about African American History Month and we're talking about some of the things that went on, and we talk about the things that we can actually relate to, and I think it's because of the clothing. We could talk about Martin Luther King and the marches and how they sicked the dogs on him and on Montgomery in marching over the bridge and the bus boycotts and all these things. That pales in comparison to the brutality that actually went on, that really wasn't being talked about. So all you people who like to be thinking about those things and use those to kind of pump yourself up to bring about some hatred or anything in your mind, just remember this. It was one of the most vicious, one of the most brutal times in the history of the United States, and probably in other parts of the country too, the Caribbean and those places, for anything, to be a slave. But here's the trick. Here's the thing that you have to do. Those people united together, and they were able to overcome their hardships and everything. I'm not saying that their animosities ran away. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they probably didn't have an internalized hate for their slave masters. But I'm sure that they had some love in their heart too for the white people that reached out to them and tried to take care of them as they were escaping from some of those horrors and stuff. Those things aren't reported, folks. No, the kindness that they would receive from the black people and the white people and Indians and the Mexicans and all the other people, that's not reported. And the brutality and the real viciousness that went on, that's not reported either. And I think that it would be beneficial, but it might be interesting if everybody was to really try and seek out and try to find a real look at what went on in those times, and then challenge yourself I think, because this is Archangel A Return to Chivalry, to actually forgive those people from that day for what they did.
Hey, Troop, I just wanted to let you know, not only is it Archangel A Return to Chivalry, but Archangel A Return to Chivalry is also on their new home right now, WorcesterDailyNews.com. If you want to check out Archangel on other platforms, not only is Archangel on Facebook Live, not only is Archangel on blogtalkradio.com/Archangel A Return to Chivalry, not only is Archangel on Facebook.com/Archangel Chivalry, but Archangel's new home is WorcesterDailyNews.com.
And for you people that can't read, and can't visualize Archangel A Return to Chivalry or anything like that, here's what the T-shirt looks like. You can go to the fights, and you can see it on a few of the boxes out there. On Kendrick, Pepper. You can see it on Jermaine. You can see it on, his name's running away from
Kyrie.
me. And on Kyrie, you can also see that wearing Archangel A Return to Chivalry. So everybody can go support the local fighters from Worcester in their climb to greatness, and see Archangel A Return to Chivalry. Or go to the Y on Main Street and see the little tag on the basketball with the kids and stuff like that. Archangel Return to Chivalry likes to do a lot of things for a lot of people, if it can. But it's only going to do things for people that have the makings to be an archangel. And, this is what we're kind of talking about now. We're going to move into number 5 of the what it takes, what the value systems of being an archangel. And this is a difficult one because it's on loyalty. And loyalty is it's difficult. It's difficult because it's an easy thing for people to get away from. And we're going to talk a little bit about loyalty, but I think at this point in time, I'll just give an introduction to what we might be talking about, and then we're going to do a couple of commercials because we like doing commercials. So, loyalty is generally associated with honor. Honor as your highest belief, that which you will not part with. And that's kind of what I'll be trying to bring about in my sloppy, uneven, kind of eclectic type of manner that's going to come out of this like this here. But it's going to be on loyalty and the association of your highest belief, that which you will not part with, and with a code, a guide to live by, right? You have allegiances, and that's the important part about loyalty. You make allegiances with things like God, country, and loved ones. In your code, death is the easiest part. And what I mean by that, I'll tell you about that later. In loyalty, that's the easiest part. It sounds like the most hardest thing to do, but it's really not the hardest too. Living and always putting God, neighbor, and loved ones before your own self is the hardest part. Alright? So that's what we're going to talk about when we come back from being on our way and our journey into talking about other people's successful businesses and stuff. Alright? Are we doing it?
Yeah.
This off?
Hey, this is your boy Truth It, and I'm inviting you Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. to tune in to the 5 o'clock shadow at Blog.
Alright, I'm gonna get back onto loyalty now, I think. So I'm just go over quickly honor as your highest belief, something that you won't part with. That's a hard thing for people to really understand when they're thinking about loyalty and everything. It's not just loyalty to friendship and everything. That's going to come more under a code of life. But this here is your highest belief. You have to be loyal to yourself. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later too. And that that belief that you hold to, that you won't give up even on the threat of death, is something that's really powerful. And this is what develops the character in ArchAngel, because you're loyal to your beliefs. And if you believe that the thing is to always do the right thing and be a righteous individual, and in a reciprocating type of manner to help those who in need without any question or any of those things like that, then your loyalty is to your highest belief is sound. You don't have to be way to the extreme of that loyalty, but you have to, you have to believe within yourself about that. And what I'm trying to say is, because that'll segue right into the thing about the codes. That believing your belief that I'm not going to waver from doing the right thing, no matter what anybody says, because it's really never going to come down. In some regard, maybe 1 out of 500 billion people might have to sacrifice a life, but most people are going to sacrifice a bad look that somebody, oh, you're like that, or and they're going to roll up their nose at you or something. And I feel as though that hurts people more than death in some regard, that someone else would think that you're not somebody that you want them to think you are, because your loyalty to your belief may not be that sound. But if it is sound and you don't waver from it, even though they make those faces, they're going to say, in their moment when you're not around, well, at least, that person knows who they are. And that's the most important part about that, because of your loyalty to yourself. You know who you are. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else, because you're you. And that's your belief, and that's what you're going to stick to. And that brings me to the code to live by. People way back in the, and I'm going to call it the ancient times, the chivalrous people of those medieval knights, and they had a code. They pledged their allegiance to the Pope, I think it was, during the Crusades and stuff. And then you had the samurai, and they had a code, and they pledged their allegiance to the Emperor of Japan. And people in all these walks of life that had this loyalty had a code. And in that code, this is how they managed their lives. And they wouldn't waver outside of the thing that they pledged their allegiance to, because that's where their loyalty was. They were loyal to the Pope. The Pope says, all right, you got to go down there. There ain't but 7 of you, as I know. And you got to fight this whole giant army of all these people that want to go and attack all the people going to the Jerusalem. So you 7 go on down there and take care of business. No problem, I got that. So they were the Knight Templars, the beginning of the Knight Templars, and they went down there and they protect the Crusaders that were going down on their pilgrimages, mostly from highway robbers and stuff like that. They really weren't engaging with Saladin and all those kind of assassins and all the Muslims, the Muslim sects that were trying to get into Jerusalem at the time, and when they was having the Christian and Muslim war back then. They had some engagements later on when they became a formidable army, but in the first part they were protecting people from a highwaymen who would be robbing them and stuff, because these Crusaders, they were just on pilgrimages. They were walking down there, some prostrating themselves on the ground every 30 feet or something like that. It's a long walk when you're doing that, but they need a little bit of assistance. But these are codes. And just like the Japanese, the samurai was a warrior class society. They pledged their allegiance to the Emperor of Japan. And in pledging their allegiance, they pledged their life to the Emperor of Japan and Japan's way of life. The same as with the Crusaders, as with the Templar Knights from the Crusade. They pledged their life. It was their whole honor and everything was given over to their country and their God. Japan, they had a Shinto type of religion, so their God was more the emperor and maybe a lotus blossom or something, I don't know. but it was a Shinto type of religion, so it was more with the emperor. And the Templars, their god was God the Father from the Judeo-Christian, which wasn't there yet, but in full bloom, but from the Pope and stuff like that. So their allegiances were to God and the countries that they represent. They were fighting for Jerusalem if you were the Templars, and Japan obviously if you were the samurai. The samurai were the much more formidable of the people. They were able to keep that country free from Europeans for 600 years. Didn't have anybody in there, and they weren't landowners or anything like that. They were soldiers pretty much, and they would soldier, and they would protect people, and that was their code of life. Their code was, both those codes had the same first sentence. It was honorable death. They were willing to sacrifice themselves so that others might live. We don't really have that loyalty today. We got a lot of people that really, in today's walk of life, they're not trying to sacrifice anything, never mind their life. They're not even trying to sacrifice what they perceive to be their honor, but it's not the honor that we just talked about, their highest belief. Their honor in some kind of made-up world that they go in, and they have a whole lot of titles and initials after their names. They're supposed to make them better than somebody else. We see that with our politicians. And we assume because they are politicians that they have loyalties towards the running and operational mechanisms of the country and to the people in the country, irregardless whether they voted for them or not. We assume this in the back of our mind, even though we know it's not true. Their first loyalty is, how am I going to get reelected, and how am I going to make all this money, and how am I going to do this here and do that there, and how are people going to perceive me as being somebody who's great, knowledgeable, and a wonderful individual. They'll never make it to be an archangel, but they could still be great and powerful, wonderful individuals if they want to be. Then that's a fine thing. So, for them, not for. Just a little waiver right now, from where I am. Just looking at what's going on with all these hearings on vetting these people to get these cabinet positions. They really don't care who gets the cabinet position. It's all about them. How much press is Elizabeth Warren ever going to get? And she got thrown out of there by reading Coretta Scott King's letter. She can't buy press like that. It boosted her. Now they got hashtag Lizzie or something. It's like, this is just craziness. That's all about her. She's somebody in my eyes. I don't know if she's a fibber or she just likes to lie, or she's a total exaggerator of her own importance, but when you're 1/70th of a Native American, and you please, that's you try to get as much glory and everything you want any way you can. So, hats off to Elizabeth Warren. you keep going for it, girl. You'll get what you want. But like I said, do they really care about the billionaire woman for the educational system? It's like, yeah, you're going to fault her? She can't be part of the public education because she was rich? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, back to the code. Living and always putting God, neighbor, and loved ones before yourself is a hard thing to do. Right? And that's with the code. Now we're going to go to yourself a little bit on this here. Loyalty to self. Now this is difficult. This is difficult, especially in today's world. You have so many opportunities to give up yourself to somebody else for no reason whatsoever. So you don't have any loyalties. You don't have any beliefs. There's nothing that you really have within yourself, in a lot of cases, that say, this defines me and I'm not giving it up. It's just not there. Because the belief you hold to be true aren't there. So you don't know how to live your life. So you're wandering back and forth, back and forth. You find time to find pleasurable moments, happinesses and stuff that make you smile and feel good. It's like, oh man, I had a great time. It was 26 years ago. I remember it well. And it was a real good time. And oh man, if I could just get those days back again. I think I can. All I got to do is go down to this secondhand store and buy those bell bottoms and get those platform shoes and put fish in them. And then I'm going to put a big fedora on and I'm going to smoke a bone, a spit. It's going to be big. And life is all going to be great and wonderful again because you're not loyal to yourself. You didn't grow. You stayed put. You weren't loyal to anything. You weren't loyal to your family. You didn't want to see your family grow because you didn't know what growth was. So without knowing what growth is, you didn't care who grew or not. You figured, oh, look at little Junior. He can play video games. He's going to be a computer wizard. No. He's going to be a video game. Don't tell him what's good. And then loyalty to friends. This is the part that's really important when you have loyalties to yourself. Loyalties to yourself comes before loyalties to your friends. And if you know you're loyal to yourself and you know what you hold true and dear, that you're not going to give up, those beliefs that you won't give up, those beliefs that you're going to really, really keep right in line with, this is me, and that's the way it is, then your friends are going to be people that have like minds like you. And the thing that's best about that loyalty to yourself, there's no level of righteousness to it. So there's no good or bad. There's no right or wrong. It's this is you. That's how it is. If you're a bank robber and you're not going to give up robbing banks to make $1 billion, then you're not going to be hanging around with people who don't rob banks. Pretty much, your social group is going to be criminals. And if you're a person who likes to see people happy and see people having the best walk of life that they can have, then the things that people that you're going to be hanging around will be like-minded people that's going to look out for the interests of other people. And have a reciprocating type of manner. It's like, oh man, I got 7 coats. You want 2? Or even if I got 2 coats, you want 1? You're cold, you're hungry, need some food. These are the people that you'll be with, but they're based upon your beliefs. You see, those are the 2 beliefs. If you believe that you're supposed to get all the money in the world you can get, and just forget everybody else's hardships or any of those things like that, and you become a totally complete selfish individual where the only person that matters is you, then your friends are going to be probably non-existent because you don't care nothing about them, but your beliefs will be true because you hold to your belief that I don't care nothing about those people. I'm selfish and I'm in it for me. Yeah, I'm talking about the President of the United States of America. Y'all guessed who I was talking about? Yeah, that's him. Yeah, I got a trophy wife and I got trophy kids and everything like that. I don't care nothing about them. You haven't seen my wife? She's naked on every magazine there ever was. Everybody saw my wife. So. Yeah, he loves her because she's trophy. So that's just a hard subject. I ain't gonna lie. So with developing your look of life, if you want to be part of the movement to be an archangel, which is a good movement, it's a great movement to get You can get a great T-shirt or a sweatshirt. So yeah, then a couple of things I think you'd have to do, because this is what makes up an archangel. You got to develop yourself, in academic ways, right? You got to keep growing. You have to keep your mind sharp. The world's growing really fast, and I know it gets frustrating sometimes, because once you start to become more academically in tune to the things that are going on around you, they become interesting because they become part of you. And as they become interesting, you want to know more. And there is just so much of it out there and everything that sometimes it becomes overwhelming. But my advice to you folks is, it's not a test. It's a belief. It's a joy. Become academically sound. Enjoy yourself like that. And religion. You need religion, folks. Everybody needs religion. You don't have to believe in God if you don't want to. He believes in you, so you don't have to worry about that. Bases are covered. But the religion components of living a life is something that you really can't get away from. I still haven't met anybody on their deathbed. I've seen a couple people dying out there in the pain and the agony, and they were calling for two people, Mama and God. Mm-hmm. They love Mama, and they wanted all the help from God, And then civil affairs, that's another thing. It's your planet, folks. Your community, your nation, whatever you want to call it, it's yours. The whole planet is yours. May not seem like that, but it is yours. And you're responsible for it, just like I'm responsible for it, just like Will's responsible, just like everybody else is on this planet. You're responsible for the upkeep of this planet, because it is your planet, and it is the legacy that you're going to pass on to your children. They're going to live on this planet, and it becomes theirs. And the civil affairs of the local government and stuff like that, don't let that be such a thing that you don't have any input into it. If you don't like what's going on in your community and everything, change it. You can change it through voting. You can change it through become more of an advocate in many other ways and stuff like that. But just don't change it through violence. Don't change it through negative actions or any of those things that won't change it. That'll just give the press something to talk about. Mm-hmm. And when they have something to talk about, it's all going to be negative, and the only person that loses is you. The other person keeps going. Well, look at them. They're ignorant, no account people. They're just prone to violence. What do they know? So, to be an archangel, not to be one, but these are some of the things that can make you feel more like an archangel. Academic awareness, religious awareness, and a civil affairs awareness. Alright, well, I've talked a little bit about that. Now I'm going to go into this next little segment. We're going to do a quick little segment on fitness. Because also, this is important, folks. To be an archangel, you have to be fit. And you say, why you got to be fit? You have to have this fitness. You got to have strength. You got to be a role model for the youth. And kids, especially in today's world, right now they're into video games and superheroes. That's who they're into. You got to be the father. You the father. It doesn't matter what you look like as the father and stuff. Your kid's going to see you as the superhero and stuff like. But if you're not fit, sometimes the kid's going to say, hey, Dad, let's go out and do a little something. Okay, Bob, what you going to do? I'm going to lay up here on the couch because I can't get up. You don't want to do that, You don't want. You want to be fit. Yeah? And everybody has natural abilities, right? We all have natural abilities. We're all born with natural abilities. Well, some people, I'm not, playing nitpicking games and going to be talking about those people who are born with physical disabilities or any of those things. Nah. Well, I'm just saying, when I say we all, I'm talking about us all, except for those people. I don't know how to phrase it, but you know what I'm talking about. But we all come with natural abilities. And I think we start to lose those natural abilities by early on in life. Because if your parents are such people that they don't get engaged with you on a physical level, then you don't get engaged on a physical level. If your parenting was one who wants to say, okay, John, here's a new iPad for you, or whatever the new thing is now, or telephone. Yeah. Here's this here, so you can go play all these little soldier games and kill everybody and build cities and all this stuff. You're gonna love it and everything, and you'll never move, so don't worry about it. Then you can be just like me. And your natural ability starts to wane because you never knew what it could amount to. You know, you never knew the joy of training. And that's where I'm going, because I'm trying to get there quick, because I'm kind of getting there out of time. I talked about it before, and I'm going to talk about it again. There's two different types of working out in fitness. There's working out, and there's training. Right? Working out is good. It's like whatever it is you want to do. It's working out. I work out. What do? I play golf. Okay, that's a good workout.
True. To me, I think the difference between working out and then training is to work out, you're trying to maintain where you are. When you're training, you're trying to enhance and get your body better. So because you're preparing for something. So like if Floyd Mayweather right now just went for a jog, he's not jogging to lose weight. He's just going for a jog because that's his exercise routine. But if he had a fight coming up, he would go jogging even longer to get in shape, right?
Floyd Mayweather trained all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He never not trained. That's the difference. Working out is people going to the gym for workout. It's a social interaction that they're going to the gym for. They might go there at first to say, I'm going to do this here, but they go to the gym and they get overwhelmed by the amount of equipment that's in the gym. Mm-hmm. They get overwhelmed by the people that's in the gym, the fitness level of the people that's in some of the gyms, and they don't train because they say, I can't be like that. I'm going to be as they should, the best that I can be. But then they don't even strive to be that. They just start to go to the gym to work out. And even in anything, there's some people who go for the walk, but it's raining out. I'm not going for a walk today. You know, it's cold outside. It's below 70. I'm not going outside for a walk today. I'll go tomorrow. It'll be all right. And then there's working out where everybody who works out, as opposed to people who train, got this built-in excuse so that they never make any gains. They reward themselves. It's like, okay, I'm going here to lose weight so that I can fit into this wedding gown for my wedding. Oh, I did good for 3 days. I'm going to reward myself. The body just says thank you. You know, I missed all that chocolate cake and ice cream and all those different sweet carbohydrates coming in at me and stuff. So that's working out. Training is, you set a goal, you know, and this is the difference, and this is what makes the results come. You set the goal. You say you just want to go to, I'm going to the gym. It's February 7th, or whatever the date is, and by March 7th, my goal is to lose 7 pounds. I mean, that's not a big goal for some people, but for other people, it's an enormous feat to lose that 7 pounds. So you got to train. So it's not just going to the gym anymore. It's the goal. I got to go to the gym, but after I leave the gym, I can't go reward myself for being such a good little doobie. And I went to the gym and I saw this one and that one, and we had such a great time. And I went on the go to sleep bike. That's that recumbent bike where you kind of can just move your foot every 7 hours. You take long naps on the go-to-sleep bike. You ever notice that they put most of those go-to-sleep bikes right in front of the TV? Because people just sit on them, and every once in a while they'll pedal, and they're just watching the TV. And you can read a paper with it or whatever you want to do with the go-to-sleep bike. And you'll be working out, but that ain't got anything to do with training. Yeah. So you got to train, and the training extends into a lifestyle. You know, so you set your goal for your 7 pounds. You reach that goal because when you're training, as opposed to working out, you train to win. That's the key. You don't train to achieve. You train to win. That's what it is. You do what's necessary to win, just like in any other thing that you do in life, as you should. You train to win. And that's what you do. And you just can't win by going to the gym or running or doing this here. There's other things that gotta come in. You gotta have rest. You gotta sleep well. You gotta eat well. There's sacrifices made on other things. You have to keep yourself mentally stimulated. You know, those type of things. There's a happiness level that you'll achieve by achieving your goal, and there's also a happiness level that's going to come in simply because you're going to feel better about yourself in doing that, to gain that. But you don't have to go to the extremes either. You don't have to join something like CrossFit, which does a lot of plyometrics that a lot of people can't do. Even if they were in shape, they can't do these plyometrics. They're just not built for it. People, because you can't, CrossFit's a good place now, don't get me wrong, it's a good place, but it's for certain types of individuals who have a certain mindset, have a certain body makeup, because people are different. No matter whatever, everybody's not the same. Everybody comes with different heights. Everybody comes with different body makeup. Some people got broad shoulders, some people don't. Some people got big hips, some people don't. Some people got long legs and long extremities. Some people don't. You know, everybody has their own body makeup. There's weight. Some people are heavier. Some people are lighter. We got all kinds of different weight categories. And then there's genders. Some people are guys. Some people are girls. You know? So, and then there's a mental attitude. Some people can visualize in their own mind what it is that they want to achieve, and with that visualization, they're able to achieve that visualization. They're able to see themselves running a marathon and coming across that finish line long before they get to that finish line. They're able to see themselves in the gym picking up 300 pounds off the ground in a deadlift or something like that. They're able to see that. And they're also able to see, this is what I have to do to achieve that goal. You know, I have to start small. I have to, for the deadlift, I have to work my tendons and ligaments. I have to stretch. I have to rest. I have to put on a little bit more mass to be able to pick that stuff up. I have to be mechanically inclined. I have to be straight and narrow to do that. Same with the marathon. I have to run. I have to sprint sometimes so that I can increase my oxygen, my VO2 max. That's the amount of oxygen gets to a level, that this level, and then you can make it go higher by sprints and stuff. A lot of hard training, lot of it's good though. It's good. I love training. That's why I'm so adamant about this. Because the things you can't change your height. You know, you can't change your height. You can't change if you got long extremities. If you're a knuckle dragger. You know, you can't change that. I don't think you can't change. Well, I don't know about the gender. They're trying hard to change the gender. But in my little world, you can't change the gender either. You can change the phenotype of your humanly makeup, but or is it the genotype? I don't know which one of it comes at first, you know. So I'll leave the gender alone. You can change the gender, folks, if you want to. But if you go from a female to a male, I don't think you're going to hit 500-pound deadlift. I just don't think you have the muscle capacity to do that. I don't know. You might. I don't know. But anyway, leave the extremes out of it. You know? But you can control your mental attitude. where you can look up and you can say, how did these people do it? How did that person do it? And you can see, but you can't be that person. All you can do is take advice from that person, and you can assimilate that advice from that person, and you can create your own goal. And by creating your own goal that fits your lifestyle, you will achieve what you're searching for in the long run. I went over, shame on me. But anyways, folks, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and next week we'll again touch a little bit on African American History Month, and we'll be talking about courage, the final and one of the most important facets of becoming an archangel is courage. You know, I'll mention the other ones that were before it, but the one that everybody has to have is courage. And we'll be talking about courage, and it's a lot easier than what you perceive, and it's a lot different than what you might be perceiving. And time allowing, we'll be doing a little bit more on some kind of physical fitness. It'll be more on sports-specific training than on any other thing like that, and how sports-specific training can actually enhance your lifestyle and make you a much happier archangel. So, shirts to you. Everybody like that. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want everybody to go out there and have the greatest life that they can have. And I want everybody to have their fun. And this is Trooper Joe from Archangel. And thanks again for tuning in. I'm out. Yeah.